Thrones. He's Grey Worm in Game of Thrones.
Oh,
He's a singer. He's super talented. And so yeah, I started this new track yesterday, and it's been going well.
excellent. All right. Well, I get a lot of questions for you. So
Absolutely.
let's just kind of get started with I'm turning my phone down so that doesn't happen. Tell us a little bit about, like, how'd you get started in this, and a little bit about your background and who you are, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. My name is Ned Mower. I'm from Chicago, born and raised. The way I got into music was I picked up the guitar when I was like 8 or 9, and that was like my main, like, first love for sure. I played guitar forever. Like, my first love was rock and roll music and playing electric guitar. And then when I was about 15 or 16, I was like a sophomore in high school. I got this demo for a program called Ableton Live, and then my guitar teacher knew how to use it, so he showed me the basics in his like little home studio. And then from there, it was just like I was just kind of making it for fun, just kind of making beats. And then by the time I graduated high school, it was just kind of like replaced kind of my love for guitar in my life. It was just like everything I did. And now it's to a point where I'm actually doing it, which is awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I've got some tracks here that from SoundCloud that you've got on there loaded up. I want to do. I'll just play a little bit here. A song called "Drank."
Yeah, it's the new one.
Tell us about this one.
So a lot of tracks that I start or work on, I'm getting through finding acapellas in different vocal cuts from either a well-known artist or just like me scavenging through random sources on the internet. And I came across that one cut of Drank, and I really, really liked it. And so I was kind of pitch bending and experimenting with it. And then from there, the actual percussion that we're hearing, I just made that beat behind it. And then I pretty much just put everything into key, and it kind of, once you get into that zone where you have your key and you have your basics of the track, it really just, the more you work on it, everything kind of falls into place behind it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and the kind of like the main lead, it's all through EQing and experimenting with different vocal cuts. So that's a theme that's been going on in my music. And instead of using actual instruments or like a keyboard, I'm actually taking little clips of samples and turning them into melodies.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So now, how would you categorize this song and the type of music you do? Is it EDM? I know that's kind of a big category.
Yeah. No, it's a good question, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't even really know, because like the entire goal of my music is to try to create an original sound.
Right.
And I think the goal of my music right now is to really bridge the gap between that sound of EDM and the movement of hip hop. Mm-hmm. And like hip hop is really, if you take out all of the literal music from it and you just listen to drums, like that's classic hip hop movements,
Right.
So that's and hip hop is again one of my greatest loves in music. It's something that I've always listened to.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't even have a word for the specific genre, but I'm just kind of going with it, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
That's awesome. Well, if it feels right, it's
exactly
probably right. Yeah. So, like, are there any, when you were getting started into this, were there other producer artists that you listened to like where'd you get your ideas come from? Were you listening to certain things, or were you just kind of like experimenting?
Yeah. So when I started and I started getting really into it, I was about 17, and that was when EDM like first started going national in terms of you know, them going to every single festival and just being like commercially known. And I went through like a really maybe brief like 6 month like EDM period where I was like really inspired by producers like Skrillex and Wolfgang Gardner and I mean just so many. I mean I have hold on, I'm actually gonna pull up. No, I'm gonna pull up. I on my notes I have like all of just a bunch of people that are inspirations to me.
That's cool.
The list is just so dense. EDM, yeah, Skrillex, Wolfgang Gardner, early like Avicii, Calvin Harris, all those people. And when I first started, like those are people I was listening to because that's kind of what like my program embodies is it's known for producing EDM. And then from there, I just started getting into like classic beat makers, beat makers that aren't even putting out full tracks or producing for other artists. And then so like that's kind of slowly become like the blend of my music.
So you said you were finding a cappella sections or tracks, you know. How does that work? Where did you find that? Do you have, I mean, are there rights associated with those pieces? And
that's a good question because that's something that I've researched a lot about in terms of copyright infringement. But first, to answer your question, where am I getting these things? There's two places. One is YouTube. There's a bunch of these YouTube channels that have studio acapellas, and then I'll literally look through all of them to see if they're like really clean and really good.
Yeah.
And then there's this site, a site from the UK called Acapellas for You, and it's kind of complicated. And it's kind of weird. You can't listen to them before you download them, but like my downloads are so clogged with like bad acapellas and just like crazy stuff that I download.
Yeah.
But I just sift through them and I try to find like really, really cool cuts. And to answer your second question, I'm not really worried about people catching me or it's not. I don't even really consider it catching because copyright infringement is if you're really taking like the base of a song or taking like the really a fundamental chord progression or a fundamental piece of music and putting it into your own. And in my case, I'm taking a cut from the vocal of the song and rearranging it to sound different. So I never really considered it copyright infringement, but if someone came at me, I mean, I don't know.
So so I'm listening to right here. It's called The Way.
Yeah.
You got that synth part.
Yeah.
Did you write that on the synth?
Yeah. That's all MIDI. That's all MIDI. Yeah.
And then I hear some
nitrous voice.
Yeah. Is that what that is?
Yeah. I'm not sure who exactly it was, but it's some voice, and then I just dropped it and like put this effect on it to make it sound like he the nitrous voice.
Oh, I see. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. That's very cool. Let me see. I have a few questions here. So, you know, I read a little bit background on you, and there was an article in, I think it was DNA Info or something from Chicago that talked about how you dropped out of college recently to pursue this full time. You want to talk about that a little bit? And
yeah. It was funny. It was funny. I talked on the phone with that guy, and he was talking about dropping out of college, and I didn't realize that was going to be like the subject of the article. You know, like I thought it was going to be about like emerging artists in Chicago, but it turned out to be all. I mean, whatever. No publicity is bad publicity, but
sure. Hey, it's a good story.
No, yeah, it was a good story, but yeah, pretty much. I went to Francis Parker High School, and then I went to College of Charleston, and I knew even before, like I left for Charleston, that I knew I wanted to produce music. I knew I wanted to do music full time, and then when I went in school for me too, it was very like it was very routine in the
Yeah.
in the environment I was growing up in. Like everyone I knew was going to school, and so I was, I just kind of went with the flow. And then after my first year of school, I was thinking about leaving or transferring somewhere, and then I pretty much got rejected from like all of the main music programs in the country. So then at one point, this past about almost a year ago from now, I knew that I was going to leave after the first semester, because just kind of momentum was building with music. I had a lot of people that were going to help me back in Chicago, and
Right.
I just kind of took a leap of faith, and it made sense. It made sense to my parents. I wasn't even happy at school in the first place. I mean, all I want to do is make music, and
Right.
I'm happy that I'm seeing these results. And I
Yeah.
definitely would just like to say on the record, don't leave school unless you know exactly what you want to do.
Right. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
My kids are in high school. One's just entered high school, and another one's in eighth grade. And
Where do they
we
go?
talk about this a lot as far as, you know, what do you want to do, kind of thing when you grow up. And I mean, it's when you find a passion like you have. I mean, you're lucky. I mean, it's because you dove into it so deep that it became part of you. And I think that's really important. Distinction between what you're doing and kids who are kind of floating around, really not sure what they want. So they need to kind of explore a lot. And then, but anyway, that's a different topic.
No,
But
no.
good for you.
You actually struck a chord there, because that's something that I've always resonated with as well. In terms of, I feel incredibly fortunate to have known what I wanted to do at, like, 14 or 15. Like I'm incredibly fortunate in that sense, and I think that I'm a very, very rare case in terms of being able to do this. And
Right.
you're right too. I mean, it's not very normal that someone is able to like dive in when they're this young, but at the same time, it's just been all completely natural. I just didn't feel like being there was necessary for me.
Sure. So talking about, I read in the article that you're working on some new music, and is there a lot, are you putting together an album or some sort of, what's the plan coming up for the next year or so?
The plan is to really, I'm not coming out with an album at all.
Okay.
I might come out with a small project,
Mm-hmm.
maybe three to four tracks that have a very specific theme, and they all kind of, all the tracks kind of sound very similar, and they embody a specific theme. But right now, what I'm honestly working on is my first official remix. I really want to remix.
Okay.
I want to remix a song really bad, because I just want to connect with an artist that I like and show them that I'm capable of doing a good remix, and more than that, just keep on building my library to a point where I can get noticed by people higher up in the industry, and specifically booking agents and people like that. At this point, for me, it's like the music it's gonna come. It's gonna come, and it'll come steadily. I work hard every single week, and right now it's for me, it's about networking and connecting with people so I can work with other artists, because that's ultimately something that I want to do full time.
Right.
Is produce for other artists.
That's awesome. Now, you mentioned at the very beginning that you had just got the rights to something.
Yeah.
What is that?
I got the rights to a song called "Bloodsport" by Raleigh Ritchie.
Okay.
And that's a song that everybody should look up. It's a fantastic song. This guy's got a beautiful voice.
Okay.
Yeah, and yesterday I just picked up the stems, and
Okay.
it's in the works. So that's probably.
And so this is going to be a remix then. So you're going to take this.
Yeah. It's funny
Okay.
that it's funny this interview's happening directly after I got the stems. Yeah, it's gonna be like my first. It's gonna be my first remix. I just started it, and I mean, I don't know how long it'll take, but it just depends on my creativity with it.
So Jonas is in the room here, Jonas Daniels, and Jonas was the one who he actually suggested that I look you up. I
Oh, that's
talked to him
awesome.
last Friday. He's out of Germany, and I think he's working a little bit with he's working a little bit with Blab here. He said he found your music on SoundCloud. Yeah, yeah. And he had a question here
Awesome.
in the
Thank you, Jonas.
chat. Um, any other collaborations? He read you wanted to collaborate with some other Chicago-based artists. So anything in the works
Yes.
there?
Nothing specifically in the works right now, but I do. I interned. I still kind of am an intern there, but I interned last summer full time at Chicago hip hop blog called Face Shore Drive, and
Mm-hmm.
what I'm really doing, like I said also in that article, is that's the plan, is to collaborate with Chicago artists. But right now I'm working on instrumentals and also full length tracks, and
Right.
then I'm gonna really start distributing them to artists like Mick Jenkins and Tink and
Mm-hmm.
Vic Mensa and just a bunch of Chicago artists that I really admire.
That's cool.
But I know their music so well that I have an idea of what kind of music I need to throw at them for them to want to work with me.
Okay. All right. Um, what about live shows? Have you done anything um, live? Is that the type of thing that you want to get into? Is DJ?
Yeah,
Tell me about what that would look like in the live show.
yeah. I when I was in Charleston, I was performing probably once every 10 days,
Okay.
and it was a lot of fun. I absolutely loved it, and it's something that I need to start doing it here in Chicago again. I've just gotten slowed down because when I came back, it was all about making this music and building my catalog,
Right.
and it wasn't because first and foremost, like when I start performing, I need to perform under my name as opposed to you know DJ,
Okay.
blah, blah. He's going to spin the music you want to. But I really want to start performing where I'm going to be playing mostly my music and obviously music that I know people would like to hear. But to
Right.
answer your question, to answer your question, that's actually something that I've been working on the past week in terms of contacting venues and booking agents and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um, but it's something I need to start doing for sure.
Right. I think we can help you with that too. We'll talk about that
Fantastic.
with Gigable. We're right now we're working with bands and like Americana and alt
Oh
country
yeah, yeah.
artists, right? I mean that's kind of the stuff that I personally, I'm a big fan of. So I happen to know a lot of those guys and gals. So
Awesome.
that's kind of how we moved into that direction. But I see what you're doing as just like, just a huge next wave, you know, of what can happen in the live space. And it's already happening. I mean, I'm probably late in saying that, but um, I would I would love to know what it looks, like what kind of venue and what kind of show like would you put together? Like
Yeah, yeah.
would it be a club? Would it be at a like a Shubas? Because those are like live bands. Like what kind of venue you're looking at? What
No,
would be
yeah.
the great gig?
I would. I mean, ideally, like I would love to play at a place like a Shuba's or Lincoln Hall
Right.
or just really really awesome venues where people can go and really enjoy the music more than they enjoy the atmosphere of the music, if that makes sense. People
Hmm.
go and see their traditional EDM artists and they're thinking, all right, I'm going to go and I'm going to drink a lot and dance a lot and like go crazy. And for a show like mine, I would want people to really take in the music and enjoy the vibe that's around the music.
Hmm.
Um, and venue wise, I mean, I, I honestly would love to be, an act or on the bill at one of those places.
Right.
Um, but right now, I'd be happy if I was playing at a bar mitzvah.
Right. Right. Well, that's very interesting. I mean, do you go to shows? Do you go out and see other?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what do you like to go see, and where do you go?
Well, recently I've been going to a lot of hip hop concerts,
Hmm.
and specifically, I went to this place called Craze Fest about 3 weeks ago. People might have heard about it in the news. It was the place where Chief Keef's hologram got cut off. It stopped the show, and they had this whole bill of awesome Chicago artists. It was a lot of fun, and
That's cool.
and then I went to Pitchfork. It was my second time at Pitchfork,
Hmm.
but Pitchfork was lovely. I enjoyed every single second of it. So much more like smaller, like a cleaner Lollapalooza. Lollapalooza was just too big for me this year. I couldn't go.
Right. It is kind of nuts, right?
Yeah, last year I went and I was just so overwhelmed. I was losing my friends every 30 seconds, and there's so many people I just couldn't handle it.
Right. Is where's Pitchfork? Where was that held?
Pitchfork's in Union Park.
Yeah. Okay.
Like Ashland and like Hubbard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts as far as the live band, and versus, I don't say versus, but or mixed remixes, dance music? Like, what are you seeing with the trend in bands playing? I'm just curious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of okay, when this, I want to make this very clear. Really good bands that are out there that perform and make people go nuts every show are way better performers than any DJ. Like they make their living off of going out and performing and seeing, being able to put 4 to 5 pieces together in perfect synchrony versus someone like me. They're not going to see me put on an incredible actual performance. What they're doing is they're showing respect to the work that I did
Right.
in the studio and the music that I created, and they want to hear that live. They want to see my face. They want to experience it with me. But in terms of actual performers and entertainers, I don't think there's a comparison.
Right. So like I've seen, I haven't been to one of these, but I've seen the video of, is it Dead Mouse? Is that one?
Yeah. I've seen Dead Mouse before.
Is that guy with the big head, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of a different thing, right? Or is that considered EDM, or is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I've had these conversations recently with, like, Jonas, for example. We were talking a little bit about EDM, and I don't think I think he said something he doesn't. Maybe we can invite him in. I'm unlocking a seat. If anybody wants to join in, yeah. See, Jonas says EDM is a dumb term, but I don't know. That's what I'm trying to understand a little bit here. This is one of the reasons why, I wanted to talk to you. But yeah, Jonas, go ahead.
I agree with Jonas because it started as EDM, but now there've just become so many subgenres of EDM that it's unfair to just put someone in that box.
Right.
But at the same time, it's unfair to put someone in that box, but your average person doesn't know all of those subgenres of EDM,
Hey guys.
Hey Jonas, how you doing?
Oh man.
Hey, yeah. So first of all, it's really cool to be talking to you, man. I just discovered your music on SoundCloud like about a week ago or something, and I've been listening to it constantly because it's really, really, really good.
Appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
I just sent your SoundCloud to a friend of mine who actually does artist management for upcoming artists and all that kind of stuff, and has contacts to promoters all over the place. And so maybe he'll listen to it. Like, he'll definitely listen to it, and maybe he'll message you or something.
That's awesome, dude. I really appreciate that.
So maybe something happens. I can't promise anything, but like we'll see.
Of course.
And yeah, like the EDM thing, as someone who has been listening to electronic music for years and years before EDM was ever a thing, like people I remember there was a time where people called where people just used techno as the like overall thing,
Right.
even though techno is something very specific technically. And now people are using EDM as like the overall thing because it's like it's grown so much wider in like different directions and everything. But yeah, I agree that like for someone who isn't in that scene, like there is no way that you could get them to understand all the nuances and differences and everything, because it's like as you said earlier, you mentioned this earlier, where like you don't even really know what it is, what you do, like what style it is. Like it's kind of like a mix of so many different things, right? So it's like even the artists these days don't even really know anymore what style they should categorize it in, and the categories are kind of stupid, right? Like it's kind of like it doesn't really matter, is it good music or not? Like that's the important bit, right? So
no, you're right, and the reason why that box is created is because of the process of it, you know.
Yeah.
The fact that you're creating it through your computer with a MIDI controller and a drum pad, and it's all, you know, you're not using live instruments like that. That makes it electronic dance music. It is kind of stupid, but it's just more. It's a category to put in there for the people who don't listen to a lot of music, and you know, I've tried to explain how I make my music to people so many times, and they think that it's like they don't know the difference between DJing and producing. You know, it's like, you're a,
Right.
you know, like, so you made this song. Oh, cool, you're a DJ. It's like, no, I'm not. But and then, you know, it's hard. You know, there are a lot of people that don't know a lot about it, but it's fine. You know, I'll live with it.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter how it's made, right? But what matters is how
like
right?
Is it good or bad?
Right. I mean, does it resonate with people, and you know, will they share it? Right. I mean, when Jonas told me about it, you know, like I said, admittedly, I'm really not that deep into this space, you know, when I listen to music, but within the first 10 seconds, it grabbed me. There was something about it. I'm like, yeah, I dig this. Like, this is being made in, and what I like about this is I love beats, you know, because I play drums and I just love the beats, right? But it just has a really, I can't describe it, but it just grabs you. And I'm like, wow, this is being made in Chicago. This is some almost like this eclectic mix of stuff that's happening. And I thought it was awesome. And I love the artwork you have behind it and on some of these. I don't know if you can see this. This is
oh yeah.
Retro.
Yeah. That's actually my favorite song I've ever produced by far.
Like, I want to say it sounds familiar. Like, do you have where's your stuff being distributed now? Do you have, I mean, I know it's on SoundCloud. Do you have it on iTunes or anything like that?
No, not right now.
Okay.
I think that it's unnecessary for me right now because the way that the internet is set up, SoundCloud and Facebook and just being posted on blogs and whatnot, it's enough of an outlet for me to get noticed. And once I kind of, or if I get to that point, I can have people who actually know about that stuff and know what you are allowed to put on iTunes.
Right.
Like you said, I do use samples and openly talk about how I use samples of acapellas. And even though I think that like I'm fine the way I'm rearranging those samples, like legally I need someone to like make sure that's okay to distribute and for people to buy.
Yeah. Well, I have the perfect guy for you, by the way, to figure that out. Yes. He's an entertainment lawyer in Chicago, and he's been in the business since forever. I used to work with him at Music Now together. We work together. He's awesome, dude. Awesome, dude. He'll be able to, I mean, if you really wanted to figure that out, he'll be able to help you figure that out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. His name's Tom Levins. I'll hook you up after this conversation. So we're running on, I don't know how much time you have here. We've been going for about a half an hour. There's a bunch of people in the room here. This is cool. We got eight watching. If anybody has any questions for Hurley, you put them in the chat, or there's an open seat here in Blab if anybody wants to jump in.
If there are no more questions, I would just like to tell everyone to please go see Straight Outta Compton. I saw it last night. It's a fantastic movie. Even if you don't like hip hop, it'll inspire you to do something cool. And
That's awesome.
It's just an awesome movie, man. It's a really, really great movie.
So I'm actually flying out to San Francisco on the 25th. In 6 days now, and I'm holding off watching it in Germany because there's gonna be German dubs and stuff, and I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
And especially in a movie like that, it's kind of it totally ruins everything. So
that's definitely a good call. I never even thought about that.
I don't have I'm currently not in in a big city, or there's no big city around here where there would be a cinema that would show it with the original soundtrack, or the original voices. So I'm waiting to get out to San Francisco to watch it, because I definitely do want to watch it. And I can feel the hype all the way over here, even though no one really cares that much over here, because it's not as big, obviously. But I definitely want to watch that, so I'm gonna wait till I'm in SF and I'm gonna watch it there.
It's really cool. It's an honest portrayal that no one in that movie is in previous rap movies or whatever, the subject is always this saint and they were meant for greatness, but total honest portrayal on every single one of the members of NWA, and it was just, I don't know, I'll stop talking about it, but it was just a great movie. You all should go see it.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. I mean, that whole sector and that whole hip hop and that whole genre of EDM and everything in there is I grew up in rock and roll, right? And playing guitar like you did. You actually started before me. I started on piano, but you said you were 8 when you started on guitar?
Yeah, I was 8.
Yeah. And I'm just fascinated how enormous this whole space is, and that's great.
Absolutely.
I just want to it's kind of funny, you guys, or Hurley, you especially, you started on guitar and then went over to electronic stuff, and still doing the electronic stuff, but as a mix with hip hop and that, all that influence now. And my kind of music experience has been kind of similar in a way. I started out completely classical. My parents only listened to classical music. I started playing the violin when I was 5. Started playing the piano when I was 12. Then when I was 17, I stopped playing piano because I wasn't any good at it. I still play violin from time to time when I have the chance. But I switched over to actually starting to learn to DJ. I not really produce that much, but starting to learn to DJ and that kind of stuff. And I was completely in this EDM scene before it was an EDM scene, and now that it's become this EDM scene, this business EDM stuff, it's kind of turned me off. So I'm moving more towards exactly that kind of mixture of more undergroundy hip hop with electronic elements in it that you're kind of producing now. So that's why it's so cool that I found your music, because that's exactly what I was looking for, right? It's kind of this mix of those worlds that I never was really I was never really exposed to the hip hop culture at all. But I like elements of it, and I like other elements of the electronic stuff still. So that's really cool. That kind of stuff's happening.
And the main element that I've always taken from hip hop is if you ask any one of my friends back here, we listen to hip hop all the time, and I never ever remembered lyrics unless I have listened to it a lot.
Yeah. Because
I'm always just focused on that production, on the music. I'm always focused on what's going on behind the lyrics. How's that beat sounding? And so I was just really inspired by a lot of those elements, and then I I just kind of put it into my music, and the rest, the kind of EDM-y part that people say, I never really consider it EDM-y, but it just, whatever that is, that those leads or whatever, it just kind of fell in naturally.
Yeah, cool.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people who want to dance to this. That, there's no question there. And it's got a lot of groove going on.
Yes.
Yeah. So for everyone that's in the room, in the top of the comments, I included all of Hurley's links there, his Facebook page and his SoundCloud page. And SoundCloud has a lot of his songs on there. Is that the best place to go, Hurley? Is your SoundCloud to hear everything?
Yeah, SoundCloud is the place to hear everything. And
okay,
the 3 of the tracks are available for download right now. The rest will be available next week.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. All right, Jonas put them in. He just linked it up.
I just copied them back in.
Cool. Thank you, Jonas. So I think that'll just about do it. We don't have any other questions from anybody in the room. If anybody wants to jump in and ask Hurley anything. I have a record. We did record this, Hurley, by the way. So we'll have this entire conversation. It'll be available at replay on Blab. And I'll probably download it and then put a link up on Gigable as well. And for you to use, you can use it however you want to link up for your own purposes.
Absolutely.
So did you have anything, Jonas?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, it was really nice talking to you, and I hope, wish you all the best with your music. And yeah, I'm gonna jump out. I'm gonna let Mike close it up. And cool.
I really appreciate that, man. Thank you for coming on, dude.
Thanks, Jonas.
Get it.
All right. Yeah. So this went well. I appreciate you jumping in on this so quickly.
Of course.
I know we were trying to get something going. But
cool site, man. I was happy to do it.
Yeah. No, I think you get some. You're gonna get some new fans out of it for sure. There's a bunch of people that came in and out, and there's a lot of Twitter stuff that went on. By the way,
I know my phone's been vibrating.
Yeah, there you are. So we got some stuff going on there. So we could, we should talk offline here about your plans for live, and maybe we can help you with that. I can certainly hook you up with Tom, the lawyer.
Yeah, man. All of that sounds incredible. I'm really happy you told me about both of those things.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, that's gonna do it.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much. We'll definitely stay in touch and wish you all the best.
All right, Hurley. Thanks, man. Take it easy.